So, hey guys. So, a lot of you had asked me on Twitter what I thought about last night's episode. And to be honest, I felt like last week's episode was better because I thought last week's episode was like so epic and better than like any maybe PLL episode ever. But I did like last night's episode. I think we learned some more things, and I think it's great because so far the season is totally living up to what Marlene said it would. It is the summer of answers and we are learning things. So I feel good about that. But I'm curious to see what you guys are going to say. There are some key topics that I definitely want to discuss and some things that I've been thinking of since last night's episode that I want to throw out there and see what you guys think. So first of all, hello to all of you. And thank you for saying so many nice things in the chat before we even started. That is awesome. You know that I love you guys so much. And just go ahead in the comments and tell me what your thoughts were on last night's episode, and I will start telling you my thoughts. Now, my biggest concern about last night's episode was the fact that we learned that Charles at one time, I think we are led to believe, lived with Mrs. D. Jason kind of caught this going on and she wouldn't let Jason back in. And because of that, I'm very, very, very concerned that we don't actually know Charles, because I say this because the main suspects, which I know Jason was a suspect at one point, I don't think he is anymore, but Ren and Ezra are pretty much huge suspects for me, and I know for a lot of you guys they are too. So here's the thing. I don't understand why Ren or Ezra would be living with Mrs. D. That really concerns me, because if we know who Charles is, if we know this character, which one of them would be living with Mrs. D? Okay, so I'm going to go to the comments now and see what you guys think about that. Natty says she liked the episode but was very confused because she was thinking Charles was A, and Marlene said herself Charles was A. And I think we're still supposed to believe that, but I've always thought that they are going to do like a switch on this and just be like Charles isn't A, but Charles is helping A or something. Because I'm like I said, it doesn't add up to me if like Charles is someone, if he is walking around as someone who we know, then why would he be hiding out at Mrs. D's house if that's, you know, obviously his mom, okay? Shachar, I know I'm saying your name wrong. I know I am. Says that she feels like most of the info is important, but right now, since we don't know much, it doesn't help. Yeah, I completely agree with you, because it's like we're getting like all these pieces of like a 5,000 piece puzzle. So you can see that we have pieces, and maybe some of them might be important, but you're like, where did these go? That's kind of what I feel like these episodes have been. Megan, hey, how are you doing? Megan says that she thought Spencer's flashbacks were pretty scary. They were really scary, and I'm kind of concerned about Spencer because we see her once again resorting to drug use, trying to get pot brownies. I mean, she's really having a lot of issues with whatever happened to her in the dollhouse. So Caitlin says that Charles must be really horrible and messed up for his dad not to love him and be sad about him being dead completely. A lot of you seem like you're confused as well. Shalisa says, if Charles died, how is it that we've seen his face before, like Marlene said? Okay, really good point, because I don't think that Charles is dead, number one. Also, she says, if Charles is alive, how come no one noticed a person walking around Rosewood that resembled Allie and Jason? So confused. Because in my opinion, Charles has been, at least this is what I think is going to happen, is that Charles has been living his life out as someone else, a character who we know, who I feel like Mrs. D completely knew, but kept that her secret. Okay, that's what I think. And just because they're related to Allie and Jason, they may have dyed their hair, because a lot of our main suspects, I mean, Ezra and Ren, for example, have very dark hair. They may not have wanted people to know they were related to them, so they wanted to look differently. And we need to talk about Caleb in just a little bit, but we'll get to that. He also has dark hair. Samuel says he liked the episode, but thinks the liars could have had taken more patient files like Bethany's. Yes, that would have been very helpful when they were in Radley. Zoe says, still super confused about the two dresses when Allie was little, because they said they were not going to get with the transgender thing. Yeah, Zoe, I know. I still kind of think that perhaps that other dress was for Cece. I know that she's going to be like a big player in all of this, but how? I'm not sure. So we'll have to see. Michelle makes a really good point that Charles may not have the same mother and father. Exactly. We know there's a lot of like infidelity on this show, so I can completely agree with you there. Brandy says she really liked last night's episode, starting to get a feeling that Caleb has something to do with the A-team, whether it means he's Charles or not. Okay, and I'm glad you brought Caleb up. Obviously, the episode last night did not really point us to Caleb as being a suspect. He's kind of being portrayed as the really good boyfriend, the overly concerned boyfriend, the do anything in the world for Hannah, a great guy. And if you think about it, the show has never, ever made him seem shady. But there have been little subtle clues, like his past is really shady. We don't really know what happened there. We don't know anything about a family. He basically has no family, which totally fits in with him possibly being Charles. And Lindy on Twitter sent me a very compelling Caleb is Charles /A theory today. And I'm really kind of getting on board with that. So what do you guys think about that? Megan thinks that Charles faked his death and everyone, including Mrs. D, thought he was dead. Okay, so I kind of think that she thinks he's alive because when Jason tried to come stay with her after the elevator incident, she wouldn't let him in. Or I think maybe that was after he said he was going to rehab, right? But she was so weird and wouldn't let him in. So I feel like she was like harboring Charles. But maybe she did know he was dead. I don't know. Obviously, he's not dead, and he definitely faked his death. Shahar. Now I've got it. All right, thank you. Charles and Charlie are different people, says Poland. I don't know. Possibly. Definitely possibly. Ingrid says that Charles is really messed up because he would try to drown his own sister. Totally messed up. And when they were telling that story, I really thought that they were going to tell, or that Mr. D was going to be like, yeah, he broke your arm as well, because I think that's really shady that Allie has that mystery injury. I definitely still think that Charles is responsible for that as well. Hi, David. Thank you for joining us. Michelle says that Charles had depression, which would cause him to be violent, etc. Obviously, yes, he was born with some mental issues, and he had issues since he was born, and he still obviously has not gotten over those. K. Marie says, so wouldn't Spencer's dad know who Charles is if he got Mrs. D pregnant with Jason when Charles was 15 months old? Well, I mean, here's the thing. If he truly believes that Charles is dead, then I think that he just doesn't realize the person who's Charles, who possibly is walking around and who's someone we know, but he doesn't know that that's his son. Although that is not very believable because the show said that Charles died when he was 16. So you really don't change your looks that much. I mean, he could have dyed his hair, but you make a really good point. I feel like he would have to know. That's why I'm very concerned that Charles is someone we don't know. Might have seen them in the background, but we don't know them. They're not a main character, because wouldn't he know if Ren was his son? So he's lying if that's the point. Like Ren or Ezra, were his sons, he would know, right? So I completely see what you're saying there. Oh, so many comments, guys. Thank you so much. Again, if I skip you, like I always say, just keep commenting the same thing. I will get to you. So Natty says the A ending at the end of the episode was so creepy. Definitely creepy. Obviously, when they were in the dollhouse, he implanted tracking devices in them so he could figure out where they were at all times, which is so scary. Caitlin hopes that Caleb isn't Charles because she loves him. Yeah, and, which is kind of what makes me think he could be, because they've tried to make us think pretty much all the guys, or a lot of the guys, Toby and Ezra and Jason, they've given us, and even Lucas, they've given us some like huge clues pointing to them being A. But what have they ever done to make us think Caleb was A? Let's just think about that for a minute. And sometimes it's the people who look the most innocent who are the most guilty. So Megan thinks that Peter Hastings is Charles's father, and Mrs. D tricked Kenneth into thinking that he is Charles's father, just like she did when she was pregnant with Jason. Okay, Megan, I really like that. And I think that's a great possibility that Mrs. D is definitely his mom, but someone else is his dad. Zoe says Caleb is into all the technology, like computers and tracking devices and cameras, just like Charles and A. 100%. Okay. What I won't understand is why he's been mean to Hannah, because A has been mean to Hannah, really mean. So I don't know why he would do that, because he does seem to really care about her, unless that's just an act. I don't know. So Jen says, could it be that Charles was meaning to look after Allison and just give his little sister a bath and not hurt her? Mr. D got it wrong, and that's why he's so mad. I mean, possibly, but Mr. D did say that he was born with some issues. Now, maybe they're crazy and they thought he had issues, but he was normal, and then that's what made Charles angry and mad, because he didn't have issues, so that could possibly be what's going on. So Caitlin says she's thinking if Caleb is A, and she's thinking Caleb is A, and if Charles is alive, I believe both. So she believes Charles is alive and Charles is Caleb. Okay. Shahar thinks that Mrs. D had all the answers. They killed her off to make more seasons. I definitely think this woman had, knew what was going on. I think she had some mental issues of her own, obviously from what we've seen, like a flashback. So that makes sense. Sir says Emily and Sarah are so going to get together. Completely thought about that when they were in the pool last night. She doesn't like it. Oh, you're Kieran. Okay, so Kieran with a different account. And with Kayla putting the tracker on Hannah's car, and then A has trackers on the girls. Good point there, Kieran. I love that. Zoe asked, what reason would a young boy have to drown his baby sister? The reason would be, in my opinion, a mental disorder where you can't control yourself, okay? Because there are children out there who have mental things going on. They were perhaps born with that, and they don't know that that's a bad thing, or they really don't know. They can't control they got mad at their sister, and they do crazy stuff. Sheena, hey, what is going on? You have written a lot of comments and they're all jumping. Asking why did the 4 girls have trackers on them, but Sarah didn't? Because obviously Sarah is not to be trusted, and she's probably working with Charles. That's my opinion. Sheena does not believe Mrs. D thought Charles was dead, and maybe he was named after a relative, or the grave is just fake. Yeah, I kind of feel like the grave, yeah, I believe like it's been there for a while, and I believe that that was just part of the cover-up, because I think she knew that her son was still alive, okay? Poland's asking if we knew Caleb's dad. I'm feeling like we met someone from his family. Was that his dad? Because he was the guy who stole from the church. Was that his dad? You guys are going to have to refresh my memory. Or was it like an uncle or something? That's what I was thinking. Megan says she really hopes Spencer's friends or parents find out she's on drugs, because that needs to stop. And Megan does not like Spencer eating the pot brownies. Yes. I don't like any of the drug abuse that Spencer is doing, because it's not helping her. It's going to make her even crazier. I hope she gets help and doesn't do that anymore. Andre says if Charles is Allie's brother, he doesn't understand why he would torture her and the girls. Basically, I guess because he's got massive issues, and maybe he's jealous because his dad never cared about him, and his dad, I guess, cared about Allie and Jason. That's kind of what I'm thinking, and he just maybe can't control himself, or maybe has a split personality. I don't know. Poland says we also saw a picture of his mom. Well, with Caleb, he could have been adopted too, so let's just think about that. But not if he killed himself at 16. That's what I'm having trouble. Guys, this is really, if you think about this, this doesn't make sense. So they tell us that Charles tried to kill himself at 16. So he went to school and everything at Rosewood. People would know him. Okay, why doesn't someone go to Ezra? I mean, how does Jason not know him? 16, right? Am I getting that right? Didn't they say that he was 16? I'm going to skip down here to the bottom of these comments to see what you guys say. I mean, I don't understand, guys, because if someone was 16 when they killed themselves, well, that's the thing. He was in Radley. That's why people don't know him. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense, and that points to Caleb or Ezra, because they both showed up mysteriously. Because this person would be someone that no one had ever seen before, because they've been in Radley forever. So they kind of just showed up randomly in Rosewood. Okay, I think we're onto something here. All right, Shahar says she really thinks Charles was the one who hit Allie. Remember thinking it has to be her kid that she would cover for. Yeah, that would make so much sense for the person who hit Allie and pushed her in the grave for it to be Charles. Completely. Very good. I'm glad you put that together. I think that's definitely right. And Karen says that Charles will definitely take advantage of Spencer taking drugs again. Yes, he will totally expose her. The whole pot brownie thing is totally going to be exposed. You can just bet on that. Samuel says if Mrs. D was hiding Charles, if he's alive, then Jason thought Charles was an imaginary friend. Then who was Jason hiding in previous seasons? Oh, you know what? Remember when he was in that house and he was being weird and there was someone else in the house? That is such a good point. Wow, I don't know. I wonder if Jason is lying. Do you think Jason knows who Charles is? Because I'm starting to think maybe so. Shalisa is so annoyed with Spencer and the pill issue. She hopes they don't resurrect the storyline unless it absolutely has something to do with A. Well, let's just say that Charles is her half-brother, okay? And that, her dad is Charles's dad. She is kind of exhibiting, she has anxiety and things like that, which is a mental condition in a way. It's not serious like Charles's mental condition. So maybe they're trying to connect the two and say she has, a problem with substance abuse, and she has some mental issues where she can't control her emotions because that's hereditary. What do you guys think about that? Okay, so Laura says Charles being alive is the only thing that makes sense. Who else would Mrs. D cover for? Yeah, he definitely has to be alive, and I definitely think that Mrs. D knew about it. Jen says, not sure if this has been mentioned, but she thinks Arya is involved in something she doesn't remember. Ezra knows, and that's why he's pushing her to write to try and jog her memory. I like that. I like the fact that you think that Ezra knows. I think she is too. And once again, we got another reference to her taking pictures. The whole camera theme is definitely important. The creepy doll thing is important. I don't know what she's doing, though. I cannot put the pieces together to figure out how Arya is involved, but I definitely think she's involved. Or perhaps Byron is Charles's father and Arya. I really honestly think that Spencer's dad is Charles's dad. Because you remember what Spencer said when she saw Charles last season, she was like, he felt like someone she knew. And I think it's because he's related to her. That's what I think. Janice is asking who I think plated the tombstone in the backyard, Mrs. D or Charles. Okay, so that's a good question. I don't know, because she's crazy. She could have done it, I think, or he could have totally done it. I don't know. That's a really good question. How old is Jason? Does anyone know how old he's supposed to be? For some reason, like the number 26 is coming to mind, but that may be too old. I'm not 24. Okay, so he's 24. So Poland says Charles killed himself at 16, supposedly, right? Then who was Mrs. D hiding from Jason 1 year ago? Well, we think that it was Charles because we think he didn't die. That's what we think. So Karen says on the tombstone, it only says Charles and not Charles De Laurentiis. Why would Mrs. D not put his last name? Probably because his dad is not a De Laurentiis. And how come Emily was the only one who knew who Carol was? That is really weird. And a lot of you had asked about Carol, and some of you thought Mrs. Grunwald was Carol. I don't know about that. I'm trying to figure out if, and this is a lot of you had asked me on Twitter. Like, I thought that I heard them say Carol was a great aunt, but maybe she was just a regular aunt. Can anyone clear that up? Because I haven't had a chance to rewatch last night's episode yet. Abigail won't be here long, but in the promo for next week, she says someone took a picture of a box with the name Melissa De Laurentiis on it. I hope Melissa isn't a De Laurentiis too. Wow. So I could totally see that. Like I've said before, if you've been to my live shows before, I really think everyone in Rosewood is connected. So I think people are related and they don't even know they're related and they're just all connected. So yes. So Maria says that she thinks Charles is alive, but he is not the person who calls himself Charles now. Okay, that's a great point. So she thinks that there is a Charles, and it's probably someone we don't know. That's where I think you're going with that. But someone is masquerading or pretending to be Charles because they know maybe the Charles story, and they're trying to get, like vengeance on what happened to him. Okay, I really like that. Shahar does not like the fact they keep adding new characters. I completely despise that. I'm totally with you 100%. Sheena says maybe Jason was hiding someone else. Maybe he was hiding Charlie, or maybe he was hiding in there without Jason knowing, like when someone was staying there when M was. Yeah, I mean, Jason is starting to look more, like he's starting to make more sense to me, and I'm starting to feel like he's not a bad guy, but who knows, because the show makes you trust people, and then the next minute you're like, oh wait, they're evil, and then you're like, oh wait, no, we can trust them. So I don't know. Lindsay says if Charles died at 16, who was Mrs. D talking to Radley about, as he would have already been dead? Well, I don't think he killed himself, and perhaps he was still in Radley even after the age 16. That's what I think. Megan says she thinks Spencer forgot about Charles when she took the pills, and I have a feeling she'll remember Charles when she eats those pot brownies. And guys, I really think she's related to him. I really think that. Shalisa likes the idea of Jason lying about knowing who Charles is. Okay, and another point I wanted to make. Have you seen the way that Allie has been acting about Charles? She wants to protect him, okay? So I think that she's going to start going against the girls in order to protect her brother or half-brother or whatever. I think that could get really messy. Ingrid says Marlene tweeted that we have all the pieces, but we need to put them together. I think we do completely. And I've also seen her talk about how the theories, some people have actually gotten it right. They've tweeted her what they think and they've gotten it right, but not very many people have. So what does that tell you? I mean, if you look up theories, how many people have a theory about Ezra or Ren? You know, guys, I want it to be Ezra so bad. You know that. How many Caleb theories are there out there? I bet there's not nearly as much as the Ezra and Ren ones, okay? Janice says, for some reason, and she always thought Melissa was helping Charles or as a part of this. I've always thought that. Feel like she will play a huge part of what happened that night. It could be because she knows that she's related to him, because if her dad is Charles's dad, then they're related, and she may already know that. Mrs. Grunwald is in this season, says Zoe. I wonder how she fits in. Laura, also her great aunt. That's what I heard. Okay. I don't know. She's so creepy, as we know. She's obviously connected. I think she's probably, I was going to say someone's grandmother, but maybe Carol is not dead, and maybe she is Carol, because she looks to be the right age for that. So whoever told me that on Twitter, I think that's a really good guess. Caitlin asked, where is Lorenzo? I don't know, because guys, you know what they do with these new characters. They're in and out, and you never know what's going on. He could be off the show for all we know. It's so crazy, you know? So Caitlin says, why would Allie protect Charles? He tried to drown her. So he could be working with her. Yeah. But I think, honestly, guys, if you've heard stories about people who maybe have a woman who has like an abusive husband, but yet they will stick with them and stuff like that. Like if it's your family, or if it's someone you love, even though she doesn't really know him, sometimes that outweighs any kind of crazy stuff they do to you, which is crazy, but that's how some people act. Garfield is asking me if I've heard the Walking After Midnight clue. Apparently, there's a real farm called Walking After Midnight, originally called the Black Widow Farm. The farm is owned by Dr. Charles and Melissa. Yes, I've definitely seen that online, and I think that means something. I really do. It's too much stuff there with PLL references to like not mean anything. Amy says maybe Cece knows who Charles is. Saw him hitting Allie over the head, and that is why she broke up with Jason. Okay, she definitely has a big part in this. What? I'm not sure. So Sheena says also thinks that Melissa and Garrett always knew about Charles. Garrett probably knew, and that's probably why Garrett's dead. Melissa may know, and that's why she's in London, to like get away from all this, to be safer. Rock Music Love says Caleb was really creepy in this episode. He will not leave Hannah alone. It was really over the top, creepy, really overprotective. Janice says they haven't explained what really happened to Ian. Could he have faked his death? That seems to be the trend on this show. Yes, completely. For me, anyone who's dead on this show, I won't believe it until the entire show is over, because there's always a chance that they're alive. Megan says she doesn't know why, but she has a feeling that Paige is De Laurentiis and that Mr. and Mrs. De Laurentiis are her parents. Maybe they gave her up for adoption and changed her name to McCullers. Yeah, like I've said, I just think so many people could be related on this show, and we don't even know it, and we will find out. Marlene, says Laura, also tweeted last night that we would find out all of the members of the A-team by the finale. So I didn't see that tweet. So is she admitting that there is an A-team? Because that's kind of been a question we've all had. And then Laura says, I thought Charles was working alone. That is so confusing. Which one is it? I swear they have said that he was working alone, and now there's an A-team. This is so ridiculous. So Kathy, hi. I said that they haven't made Caleb look like a bad guy, but when Hannah first saw Caleb, they were making him look like he was bad, I guess, because he had all those phones and money at school, remember? Yes, I do remember that. But you know what's funny? I had forgotten it, because I feel like the show has worked so hard to make him look like such a great boyfriend, such a good guy. He'll go the extra mile for Hannah. He's, always there to help the girls. If they have like a tech issue, he can hack into computers. He can try to figure out who A is. Love it. Queen is asking me if I think Lucas will play a big part in this Charles story. Well, at one time I really thought he would, but now we haven't seen him in forever, so I'm so confused. Megan hopes that Caleb takes that tracking device off of Hannah's car. Yeah, because I understand, I guess, that he wants her to be safe, but that is crossed like 20 lines there. That's just way creepy. Shalisa says perhaps Charles is related to Spencer and Melissa, but Melissa is Black Widow and is protecting their girls. I also have thought that. I think Melissa knows more than she has told us, but I kind of think that she is not a bad person. That's kind of the vibe that I've always gotten. Garfield's asking if Mrs. D could be the one with the twin. That is the tweet that I kept getting last night. People asking me if Mrs. D could be twins with Mrs. Grunwald, but Mrs. Grunwald's way too old for that. So yes, I do think Garfield could have a twin, or that Garfield, I do think Mrs. D could have a twin. And it just made me think about last season when they were at the horse stables. Weren't they talking about someone who looked like Mrs. D but wasn't Mrs. D, like someone with blonde hair or something? Or maybe she had a little girl who looked like Allie. There was something there that connected to twins. So Shahara asked about the holding breath contest. which was in the pool between Emily and Sarah. Feels like there was a reason to that. I don't know. That does seem like that means something. I'm not sure what it is. If any of you guys think you know what that might mean, go ahead and put it in the comments. Zoe says Sarah's so shady. Why do you think she was on the roof? I mean, I don't know about this girl. She's definitely trouble, but what is weird to me, I feel like, is that no one really sees that. Although I thought it was funny when Hannah was like, I don't know this girl. Like, she didn't really want to go after her when she ran away. So I think that's interesting. Do I think there's still a possibility of a twin of a character now that we know Jason and Charles aren't twins? Asks Emma. And that was really good that you point that out, Emma, because we finally found out what a lot of us have been wondering since the season 5 finale, that Jason and Charles actually are not twins, which we kind of started thinking the past couple of months. I started thinking they're not twins. Yeah, I still think there is a twin, but I just don't know who that is yet. Caitlin asks, when was the Black Widow? I don't remember that. Someone explain who that is, or who is the Black Widow. Someone's going to have to help me with that. But the Black Widow, I think, appeared at a dance, possibly where they were wearing masks, and this is just another part in the A-team in a way, and we're not really sure if the Black Widow is a bad person or a good person, right? Someone can help me explain that, because that gets really confusing. So Queen mentions that Byron was in this episode. Arya was a little harsh on him. Yeah, she was, but Byron's a sketchy character. I was surprised to see him because I haven't seen him forever, but I don't know if I feel too bad for him because he's always kind of creeped me out. So Megan says she thinks that Jessica De Laurentiis and Marion Cavanaugh are sisters. Very good. Now, that's where I think the twins could be. They do look alike. Well, she says they can't be twins because Marion is a couple years older. Well, you know what? That would have been such a good twin theory if they had been the same age. There's definitely more to Toby's mom's story, and that's Marion Cavanaugh. We just don't know that yet. You know what? There are so many like open-ended storylines on this show. How are they ever going to wrap all these up? Will they ever wrap all these up? I don't know. Sheena says she thought Mrs. D is a twin too, and maybe Jessica is alive. But she didn't think Mrs. Grunwald is her twin. I was afraid. She was afraid when they were in the pool. I was afraid. I thought there was going to be like a drowning. Janice says some people are saying that Spencer may be the one who was adopted and is the baby in the video with Mrs. D. Okay, that's interesting. I haven't actually heard that one yet. Sheena hopes that Spencer injured A. Emma says, could Spencer have injured A in the dollhouse? No one else was hurt. Possibly, but it seems like A or Charles or whatever is still getting around and doing what he needs to be doing to drive everyone crazy, but we don't know if he has any injuries or anything. Caitlin's asking, where is Arya's mom? I don't know, because she has disappeared. We just don't see people forever. And then she'll probably just randomly show up soon. If I have missed your comment, again, please retype it. I'm not trying to skip over anyone. I want to address everyone's comments. So sometimes they start scrolling really fast and I accidentally miss them. So go ahead and retype if I missed it and I will address it. So Natty says the Black Widow. Here's the Black Widow storyline. Thank you. First appeared at Wilden's funeral. Good. And then at Bethany's funeral. She has connections to A because she was seen wearing the Allison mask and was seen in the A layer. Thank you. Was she also at some kind of dance, the masquerade ball, or am I making that up? Kieran asked if I saw on PLL Snapchat with the hacking screen with the name Brandon Harvey on it. Is that Sarah's brother? I didn't see that, and I don't know. And if that's another new character, I may go crazy. It's too much. Zoe hopes all the loose ends will make sense eventually and all fit into the story. We can only hope that, totally. Janice wants Ian to be A. She says that would be cool since he has a love-hate relationship with Allie. Yeah, but we haven't seen Ian in so long. I'd honestly be really let down if he ends up being A. Kathy says Spencer's dad has to know about Charles because he is Jason's dad and he is older than Charles. And they said they didn't move to Rosewood until after Charles went to Radley. And the thing about this is, guys, don't you think all the parents have to know that Charles existed at one point? I mean, they may believe that he killed himself, but why hasn't anyone talked about him before? Do you think that none of those people know that he existed? Come on. Kay says Arya's mom was in the second episode. Very good. But she's like so irrelevant that I forget. You're totally right, though. Rock Music does not trust the new guy with Arya. He looks shady. And can Sarah stop taking showers? Someone tweeted me that, too. Like, she's always in the shower or in the pool or something with water. Maybe she goes in the bathroom to, like, do her A stuff or to text Charles, you know, and she just pretends to take showers. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Sarah and Bethany are possibly twins, says Tammy. Okay, I can definitely go with that. Shahar says A, let the girls out of the dollhouse way too easily on purpose, probably. Yeah, probably. So Natty says in the promo, Sarah says to Emily that she that girl, and then your comment just went flying up a couple of times. There's a bug in here. Wearing a black hoodie. And then Spencer, Hannah, and I think she says Mona, find out a girl was in Radley long enough to know Charles. Yeah, that's what we're seeing next week. That's what next week's is about. That should be really interesting. Emma says, you think that Jessica would tell Mr. H about Charles since they were intimate? Yeah, that's why I think, guys, I think other people know about Charles. In fact, the only people who might not know about Charles are the girls themselves. Okay. Marlene also tweeted last night, says Garfield, that we will find out who Black Widow is. Okay, good. I want to know who that is. I want to know who all these people are. Is there really an A team? Why is this so confusing? So Queen says all the parents probably know more than the girls. I completely agree with you. Zoe's asking, where is Mike? I don't know. I miss him, of course. I think he's working on another show, but still. Tammy says Sarah and Bethany are possibly twins and that Sarah is actually Bethany, and that's why her mom doesn't want her back. Okay, and we still have, that's such a huge mystery, and they really haven't addressed the whole Bethany thing this season, and I'm really hoping they will because it's starting to drive me nuts, but you know, every time that, you know, we start talking about Sarah, people are like, is that Bethany or what's the deal? And I wish they would clear that up. It's kind of driving me crazy. Kay says it's weird how they just let Sarah stay in their house. I think the whole thing with Sarah and Emily's mom, I think it's so weird. I just do not get it. Jaleesa says that people say Leslie Stone was in Radley. That's Mona's friend. That's really interesting. Okay. Karen says, why did Sarah sneak out the window to go to her house? Why didn't she just leave through the front door? I don't know, because she's so weird and so shady. Next week's promo says Poland looks like a horror movie, to be honest. It looks good. I'm excited. Laura says, why doesn't Emily ask Sarah about her friends? She met Claire and the other girl. Why is no one asking her more questions? So frustrating. It is so frustrating. Emily, you know, guys, come on. I love Emily, but she kind of drives me crazy because have you seen this pattern she has of just like believing and trusting people? I mean, like, I don't even know. Who was her last girlfriend's name from last season? I can't even remember, but she like was all about her and she didn't even realize the girl had a husband. I mean, she just like believes whatever people tell her. She's just so gullible. Megan says she thinks Byron followed Arya to the place where the girls went to steal Charles's Radley files, and that he's not A, but maybe he's super obsessed with Arya because he might have a mental illness. Okay, that it could be completely interesting. I have always thought this, and I probably told you guys before, but I think Byron is by far, well, maybe Mrs. D was the creepiest parent, but I think he's one of the creepier parents that just things don't add up with me with me about him because, I mean, you know, I mean, he likes younger girls. He had that affair. Something's wrong there. Something's not right with him. Caitlin asked if Toby's mom is dead. I don't know if someone said that she was A. I don't think Toby's mom is A. She supposedly jumped out of Radley out of a window, but there's been a lot of debate that someone actually pushed her. I don't know if I want to go as far and say that she's alive, but I think there's a lot more to her story. That's what I think. So Sheena says, isn't aren't Sarah's friends and family excited to have her back? Bethany is the missing girl and no one seemed to care, you know, no one seemed to care she was gone. So yeah, where are Sarah's friends and family? Why is that so weird? Because she's probably in on it. That's what I think. Janice says, who is the creepy girl in Radley supposed to be in the promo for next week? People are saying that it's Leslie, but I don't know. Caitlin says she doesn't think Emily and her mom trust her, and Sarah overheard them and got upset, so she got upset and left. Yeah, that's probably what it was, because she did listen to them talking. Kathy is asking, where is Mona? I don't know. We all want to know where these people go. Natty, I'm sorry you have to go, but thank you for joining us for the time that you could, and we'll see you next week, hopefully. Queen says she hopes they don't kill off Emily's dad randomly. Do you think they will? Why do you say that? I don't know. Emma says the creepy girl in the promo looks like young Spencer. I don't know who it is. Is it another new person? Guys, I'm exhausted with that. Jana says, does anyone know what the significance of Arya's doll is? They keep showing it over and over, and I feel like it's a huge clue. I totally feel like that's such a huge clue. Some of you have messaged me saying you think a camera is in that doll. You think that's a way that A is watching her. I don't know. Something is just not right with that. I think Mona's going to be in the next episode, says Sheena. So very, very cool. I'm going to go up here and see what other, Mona's in the promo. Shahar, thank you. See what comments I have missed. Again, if I've missed your comments, and I know I've missed some, just re-comment, post it again. I will definitely get to you because I know I'll miss some, and I'm trying to scroll up here and still figure out what I missed. Do you guys think they're going to go with the not Aria, but the Emily and Sarah, like a couple thing? Because I really hope not. But every time, like when they were in the pool, I was like, I totally think that they're going to do that. And I'm so sick of it. I don't know. So let's just talk about this for a second. Do you think that Charles is A? Or do you think someone else is A? And do you think that this person who we keep seeing like outside of the window in last week's episode and then in the lair, I guess, in this week's episode, do you think that that is the Charles who is the brother of Allie and Jason, or someone who is taking over his identity? What do you guys think? So Amy says maybe Sarah was on the roof at Emily's house, just like the girl was on the roof in Radley when Toby's mom got pushed off. Okay, yeah, I like that. Quite possible. Kay says the little girl in the promo is Maddie from Dance Moms. She heard she's supposed to be in something happening in Spencer's mind, and she does a dance. Okay, thank you for that information. Janice says they need to answer the questions of what happened the night before she loses all of her brain cells, trying to figure out that night, the night that Allie supposedly died. Please, I beg of them to go over that night. That may be something that does not come out until next season, the final season. I don't know. But they need to devote a whole episode to going back and telling us, like, in order, this is what happened the night that Allie disappeared. I think all of you agree with me there. Queen Styles says they will probably go with the Emily Sarah ship. I believe you. Nad is here. Hey, Nad, what's up? Saying that Cece is Charles. Maybe? I don't know. Why have I felt like Charles is a guy all this time, though? Do you really think it's a girl? I don't know. So Poland says because Emily's dad had a heart issue. Okay, yeah, so possibly they will kill off her dad. Let's hope not. I just feel like that doesn't make any sense. Brooks saw a theory on Tumblr that said Aria might have multiple personality disorder. I've definitely seen that. She could have locked herself in the room and left that note to herself. That's so funny because she was in the dark room and she saw that note that was supposed to be from A about being a doll, and it was supposed to be like some flashback to remind her of what happened while she was in the dollhouse. You know, that's funny. I could see that. And I think that people have been thinking she has MPD for like such a long time that now I'm starting to believe that. So David says he knows it's not going to happen, but still would love for Aria to be on the A team. Well, I mean, for a long time, a lot of you guys would tell me like Aria is A, and I'm just like, no, I don't really think so at all. And then I did maybe a month or so ago, I did a theory video on Ezria being A, and I started to kind of buy into it, but then I was like, I'm probably overthinking this. So it's crazy to me because this season, they have made her totally look like what everyone's thought. They've made her look so shady. They've made her look like she is on the A team. But then I also start to think about what the writers have always said in interviews, and they say like whatever the fans want, they try to give it to them because they wanted Ezra to be A, so they made him A, but then they took it back. So I'm just wondering if they're making him look like, or making her look like she's on the A team, but they're just going to be like, no, she's not really on the A team, but they just want to make, the fans happy for a little bit. That's kind of what I think. I don't know. So Megan thinks that Ren is Charles, and I still think that that's a definite possibility. I really, really do. Shahar wants Ren to be A. Garfield says the only person he's going to be satisfied with being A is Ren. I mean, he definitely has so many qualities and things about him that make him such a huge suspect for A. If he ends up having the same dad as Spencer, though, that's going to be quite gross, just to be honest. Queen also wants Ezra or Ren to be A. Not Caleb, because she was getting strange vibes just from this episode. Janice says, we need to look closely into who's been in and out of Radley so far. Toby, good point, Janice. Toby, Spencer, Mona, and Ren have been in there because everything goes back to Radley. But Ren was there as a doctor, not a patient, correct? Okay. Margaret says that she thinks Charles may have met a girl when he was in Radley, and that is her, she's big A. Okay. That's what it looks like on the promo for next episode, at least. Very interesting. Okay. Poland does not think any of the liars could be A. They are all so much affected and so hurt. Possibly. They are, definitely. But if you're the person who's the mastermind behind all of this, you could be pretending to hurt yourself and then just acting like you're really upset. Queen says if Ren ends up being A, then her life would be complete and she can move on with her life. That's kind of how I feel about Ezra, but then I don't know because he doesn't really seem to be A sometimes, but I always wanted Ezra to be A, but you know. Adrian was having trouble with the chat, but I'm so glad because you're on here now and it's working. So good to see you, Adrian. Rock Music says, do you think that Charles is really dead and in his grave, or do you think he faked his death? I think he totally faked his death. I think he's 100% alive. When did Toby's mom die? I think it was a long time ago. Does anybody know? No, Ren did not die, Caitlin, but we haven't seen him forever. And Spencer was going to see him in England when she went last season, and he conveniently was not there. Queen Mrs. Jenna. Was Jenna in the promo? It looked like Jenna was in the promo for next week. Janice wants her mime to be blown when A's identity is revealed. Ren is too played out. I do feel like Ren is played out. I feel like Ren is just a little bit too obvious. So I don't know. Karen, I will check Instagram later for that picture. Thank you. Adrian says she doesn't think Toby was in Radley as a patient. He was just visiting his mom. Yeah, I don't remember Toby being a patient in Radley. And this says, it is a bit weird how we aren't seeing a lot of old characters who could be A. Completely agree with you, Emma. Like Jenna and Lucas. It makes me think it must be a major character like one of the liars. So we're not seeing Jenna. We're not seeing Lucas. We're not seeing Ren. Crazy. Okay. Megan says, Ren is pretending to be a doctor. Doctors see the word diagnosis every freaking day of their lives. What kind of doctor spells that word wrong? Okay, Megan, I really like what you're saying here. So Megan thinks that Ren is a pretend doctor, a fake doctor. I never even thought about that. I really like that a lot. Caitlin says, isn't Jenna in the next episode? She saw someone with the same glasses as her. Yeah, it looked like her in the dark sunglasses. That's what I just said. Andre hopes that Eddie Lamb will be back because he thinks he knows Charles. I am starting to think Eddie Lamb is dead, or I've been thinking that for a while, but that would be awesome if he reappears, and even more cool if he knows what's going on with Charles, definitely. So Shalisa says, for a brief second, she thought Sarah was going to try to drown Emily when they were swimming. I'm with you. I totally thought that. Marie says, maybe Ezra is pretending to be Charles. We know that he wrote the book, and maybe he researched and knows more about his story and was intrigued by it. Ooh, I would love that. But, do you think he's pretending to be Charles and doing evil stuff, or pretending to be Charles for his research, like he claimed last time that he was just being all creepy and weird because he was researching for the book? I don't know. Brandy says, do I think that Noel Khan could have anything to do with the A-team? He is definitely hiding something, hence the reason he helped Allie. Okay, Noel was like one of the most shady people ever, but he hasn't been on the show in so long, so long, that I don't know anymore. I mean, he could be helping them, but are they going to make people part of the A-team who we just never see? I don't know. So apparently it was Mona with the sunglasses on like Jenna. So where is Jenna? I just don't get it. Michelle says, quite sure that Miriam, who is Toby's mom, had a mental disorder. Maybe Charles is her son and it's genetic. But okay, all right. But that may mean that Mr. D is lying, because he would definitely know if his wife had a baby or not. So if she never had a baby, maybe they adopted Charles or something. That's a good point there. Okay. We're not seeing Maya, says Michelle, and I'm getting very concerned that we're not going to see her. I don't know. Shalisa thinks Eddie Lamb is in the barrel. I've definitely thought that. Adrian agrees. Yes. So Megan says she heard yesterday that they just got finished filming season 6, episode 10. Yes, I was reading about that, and she says all the actors actually cried, and that Marlene cried when she was making the script for it. I read that too, I think on Twitter. Like, she cried a lot. So I don't know what that means, guys. What do you think that means? Kay says it was Mona in the sunglasses. In the sneak peek, you see her talking to Hannah, and she is like in hiding because she's still scared of A or Allie. And Jenna may be in the episode too, though. That would be great. Shalisa loves Ezra pretending to be Charles. I really like that. You know, I would like that. I love that. Margaret thinks that Ezra looks shady AF. Got to be a reason why he asked the girls to explain to him in detail what happened in the dollhouse. And he was just so weird. And like totally when he was getting that information, I think last episode about Andrew, and he was like, yeah, Andrew was adopted. I mean, he could have been making all that up, don't you think? Megan says when Emily and Sarah were in the pool, she was so scared that A would be in the pool or do something in in the pool to drown them both or make them never want to swim again. Yeah, I know, because didn't Paige like kind of try to drown Emily? I was just getting like flashbacks from that. Fernanda says Ren is A, she thinks. She saw on Instagram a picture of Ren, season 4, episode 10, saying you can't trust anyone, and drawing a picture of a family on a farm and coloring the jacket of a girl in red. She looks like Mrs. D. It definitely makes sense for me in a way for him to be A. Shahar has to go. So good night. Thank you so much for being here, Shahar. Zoe said Andrew wasn't mentioned in this episode, and they didn't say anything about his adoption. And that's kind of what drives me nuts about this show, is because people are like really talked about. They're in like all kinds of episodes, and then they totally disappear. It's so weird. I don't get it. Garfield says people are coming up with the Sarah is A theories. He remembers the writer saying it's somebody we know quite well. I do not think Sarah is A. I definitely hope that's not true. Megan says we're going to cry our eyes out when we see 610. That makes me freak out because I can't wait to see it. Emma says A story must be really sad. I really cannot wait to hear that. I cannot wait. Nat is asking if Sarah is Bethany. People have debated that a billion times, and people do think that, but we just don't know. Janice says, are we sure that Kenneth is Charles's son? We know that Mrs. D gets around, and Kenneth said it was a relief when Charles died. No, that's what we've talked about, and we think possibly that Spencer's dad could be Charles's dad. Sheena definitely thinks that Sarah is Bethany. I definitely think that's possible. I just don't know. I don't feel like I have enough information to say that for sure, but I mean, they haven't talked about Bethany in so long. It's so crazy. The whole problem with Arya killing Shayna is gone, says Queen. Yep, that's another drop storyline. I don't get it. Zoe would be very disappointed if Sarah ends up being A. I would be so upset with that. Definitely. Yes, Charles is Kenneth's son. We don't know, Janice, but I think it's possible that he's not, that he is Mr. Hastings' son. Okay, Sheena says that she wishes they'd show Noel because she thinks Charles pushed Marion, actually. Oh, maybe Charles caused Marion Cavanagh's death. She thinks Eddie is in the barrel as well. I think Eddie knew too much. And if wasn't he supposed to meet up with Ezra when he disappeared? So shady. Sheena says that Mona and her shady friend Leslie are both in the next episode. Okay, so that's going to be really interesting because we haven't seen Leslie in a while. Janice says, why do you think Charles killed Mrs. D and Mrs. D tried to protect him? I don't know, but that may go back to the fact that he tried to kill his own sister. Sometimes you can't control yourself. He may have some serious mental issues, or she may have also mentally abused him or physically abused him. We just don't know, even though she thinks she was protecting him. I don't know. So Megan says when PLL is done, she's going to get the DVDs of all the seasons and rewatch it every day for the rest of her life. She has the DVDs for season 1 already. All she needs is the DVDs for the rest of the seasons. Yeah, I mean, when this show is actually over, it's just going to be such a shock, I think, to everyone. And just the fact that we're going to know all the answers, as much as we want all that, I just feel like we're going to be so overwhelmed when we actually have all the answers. Hey, Alex, thanks for being here. And that's no problem that you're late. I'm just glad you're here. Maria says she thinks that Ezra is playing with the girls for fun. Because she also thinks, she was saying that he pretends to be Charles. Maybe it's some kind of art for him, but that wouldn't be interesting. Yeah, I've always, there's just more to Ezra than we know. Okay, Queen says, why haven't Sarah and Allie met? I don't know. There's so many weird things going on with Sarah, and there's just like, it seems like the girls aren't realizing how weird it is. Like the fact that we haven't seen her friends or her family or anything. Like her friends haven't come back around to be like, oh my gosh, you're alive and everything. It's just so weird. Samuel says maybe Charles pushed Marion and Bethany was blamed for it. Marion was an ex-nurse and might have tried to talk Charles down from the roof. Oh, okay. I really like that. I like that a lot. Nat is asking, what is the Charles connection with the prom if he was older than Jason? So how old would Charles be if he was alive now? Does anyone figure that out? Jason's 24. So, or is he supposed to be like about a year older than Jason? That's what it is, right? So he's like 25. Okay. Karen wants Ezria back. I know. Their whole storyline just got so boring. I used to think they were so great together. So Alex doesn't think Charles is A. He's beginning to think Caleb is really suspicious. That's what I think. Even though he was in Ravenswood, it is sketchy, plus the trackers, and he's going to tell us more here in just a little bit. Sheena thinks that Jessica has had to hide him after he hurt Allie and or killed Toby's mom. We're talking about Charles. So she told everyone, even her hubby, that he overdosed and died, but she helped him fake his death. Yes, I completely agree with you. Alex says she knows the writer, or he knows the writers did the same thing to Mike, and they're trying to make him look like A, but Caleb is sketchy. Yeah, I know. But Caleb has a better backstory than Mike. He has more things about him that make him seem more like A. So Caitlin says, Charles is 25. Okay. I don't know. I do not know the significance of that prom that Charles recreated in the dollhouse last season. I don't know yet. Alex doesn't think that the writers will make A girl again. I really don't think A is a girl. Just don't. I mean, I don't even think that it's like Charles is actually a girl and his parents made him be a guy or something like that. I just don't. Garfield says the girl Spencer was referring to in the promo had to be in Radley in the same time that Charles was, is Leslie, because in season 6, episode 6 pilot, it says the girls try to find concrete proof on Leslie being, oh gosh, that's kind of a spoiler. I'm afraid to read that. I don't like what that just said. I mean, that makes me mad at the show. That's ridiculous. I sure hope that isn't true. But thank you for telling me that. Adrian says Sarah's friend did admit that it was a relief that she was dead. So, yeah, I know. That's true. I forgot she had some drama with them. Sheena says when Mrs. Marin found the clothes, we see Cece wearing that same shirt when she was interrogated by Holbrook. Yes! What does that mean? What does that mean? Is Cece part of this family too? Zoe says they haven't asked Mona about her death. She's hoping in the next episode they will ask her about that, especially because Allie actually got sent to jail. Wouldn't she want to know? I've never understood that. Like, why hasn't anyone asked what happened to Mona? Who kidnapped her? Does she have any idea, like, what all happened with her fake death? I don't know. Amy says if it is Melissa's prom, it kind of makes sense since she's older than Jason, so she could be around Charlie's age. Okay, so possibly this is making more sense. That is the prom that Charles wanted to go to. He never got to go because he was in Radley, and then at that point, probably when people were going to prom, he was supposedly dead. So he never got to go, and he was upset about that. That's what I think. So Megan says, to be honest, she doesn't want Ezra to get back together. Ezra has been getting on her nerves lately, and she'd actually like it if Arya and Clark were a couple. Okay, who's Clark? Oh my gosh, I've totally forgotten some of these people. There's too many people. But yeah, I'm not really down with the whole like Ezra Arya thing anymore either. So Samuel says if Charles was put into Radley when Allie was 11 months old, could Bethany have broken Allie's arm when she was 2 or 3? Yeah, I think that's a definite possibility. I didn't think about that, but definitely. So Maria says she thinks that if we think that someone is really suspicious, then this person is not A, just a distraction, because the writers wouldn't let us guess who A is. Well, we talked about this before, but there are very few people in the show who we don't suspect at all. But I think the liars, I guess, besides Arya, would be at the very bottom of the suspect list because no one ever thinks that they are A. So maybe one of them is A. I don't know, but we don't think it'll be a girl. I don't know, because like it seems like all the male characters they've tried to make look shady. Emma says it was probably Cece's prom too. She was homecoming queen. So is Cece really 25? Is she that much older than everyone? I don't know. That seems weird to me. Laura says Sarah is basically the complete opposite of how her friends described her. I don't trust that girl. She says A probably sent her to seduce Emily and spy on the girls. I completely agree with you. Clark was the guy at the picture room. He's another new character. Oh, yeah. Thanks, Zoe. I didn't even know his name. I couldn't remember his name. Janice doesn't want Cece to be A because she's such a minor character. I don't either, and we never see her, so that would just be ridiculous. Yeah, so Clark was in the dark room. Oh, my gosh. Please no more new people. Ridiculous. So Garfield says the girl who attacked Mona in her house was Sarah, possibly. Charles could have made her do it. Ooh. And maybe that's kind of why she wanted to cut her hair, because she's afraid if she sees Mona or whatever, Mona's going to be like, oh my God, that was you in the house. I like that a lot. A whole lot. So Nad says she doesn't think Lucas is A, which is funny because a couple of months ago, I thought he really seemed to be like he could be A, but then I thought Ezra was A and Jason was A and Ren was A, and I just don't know at this point because there's just been so many people. Megan says Spencer and Hannah seem the most traumatized from the dollhouse. She was getting ready to tell me something about Charles, but I can't read that. But yeah, they do. And that seems really weird to me. I don't know why they've had more issues than the other girls. That I don't know if that means something or what. So we still have about 6 minutes left, and this chat has been just flying by. I just wanted to tell you guys, if you have Twitter and you don't follow me on Twitter, you totally should. I'm Kelly_TV. That is where you find out all the information about any upcoming shows or videos. And I also live tweet this show live 8 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays. I would love to have you tweet along with me. I also have a Facebook page and an Instagram, so I'll have those links down below. You can totally follow me. If you follow me on Twitter, I will follow you back, and I would love to have you be part of my family, PLL family on other social networks. So Nad says she actually thinks the suspects are Ren, Ezra, Melissa, and Cece. I can definitely go for that for those 4 people, definitely. So Janice says if the twin theory is still happening and Charles is the twin of someone, I can't figure. Okay, wait a minute. So what if not only was there Charles, who they didn't know existed, what if Charles had a sister? Because I still can't figure out why there was another dress at Christmas, but then that probably wouldn't make sense because the dresses were the same and the sister would be older and probably couldn't wear the same dress size as Allie. I don't know. But Janice says that the twin theory is still happening and Charles is the twin of someone. She can't figure out who would be his twin. Could it be a girl? It would be cool if Charles is Spencer or Melissa's twin. Yeah, it could be that. I didn't think about that. But it couldn't be Spencer because she's not old enough. But it could be Melissa. Definitely could be Melissa. You're welcome, Sheena. Thank you so much for being here. So Average says Spencer is A because she said she hasn't slept. She literally had regret for what happened in the dollhouse. She's also half related to the De Laurentises. She could avenge Charles's death. Really? Never really thought about that. I'm going to have to think about that a little bit more. Rock Music says, then the last season with the prom in the dollhouse was about when he was in high school, the night of his prom, something really sad happened. But I don't feel like Charles could have gone to prom because he was in Radley and then he was supposed to be dead. And most people go to prom at 17? That's what I'm confused. Okay. Maria says it was her first time here. Well, I'm glad you had fun, Maria. Please come back next week and the weeks after. Garfield saw a theory that Cece said, or that Cece might be the one with the twin and her twin is Bethany because there has to be a reason why we haven't seen her face yet. Yes, there's definitely a reason why we haven't seen Bethany's face. It's probably because she looks either related, she's related to someone, or she's their twin. Exactly. Maybe Cece is Charles's twin. Yes, Zoe. Andre says he thinks that Hannah has a twin because she was somehow connected to all the twins that appeared in the series. I've always thought that. There was that little girl, I think, that appeared on Halloween. There's just a lot of weird stuff. And then people say she looks like Allie, and completely agree with you. Adrian thinks that the other dress was for Bethany. Mrs. D was cheating on Mr. D for years. Possibly. Very possibly. That dress definitely is a big clue. That definitely means something. Janice says, when Spencer says Charles feels like a pen pal or someone she knew, that's a huge clue. Huge clue. I think they have to be related. I think they're like stepbrother and sister. That's kind of what I think. Go back and see what other, let's see here. Hold on. Megan says that she heard Charles is A because of what happened the night Allison went missing. Maybe all of the girls did really bad things that night and Spencer and Hannah did the worst things to Charles. I hope that he's A. I'm just kind of sick of people being A and then they're not A and they're like, oh wait, and the writer's like, oh wait, no, this isn't A, but this person's A now. But I just read a spoiler in these comments that they're going to try to make us think someone else is A, and I think it's absolutely ridiculous, and I don't believe it. So apparently that's coming up in the next couple of episodes. Sheena says maybe Spencer felt connected because he reminds her of her dad or Jason. Yeah, I completely agree with you because I think that she is related to Charles. That is what I think. So we still have 2 minutes left. Time for you to get in any last comments or questions. And I really overall am pretty happy with this season as compared to the others. I think it's one of the better seasons because we are having to find out information finally, just simply because the show is literally going to be over eventually. You know, we're kind of narrowing it down to the end times. How crazy would it be, says Megan, if Hannah and Allison were twins and Allison's parents gave Hannah up for adoption? It makes sense because they look alike. That does make a lot of sense. They've made that like connection before between the two, so definitely. Alex says, highly doubt that A is working alone. I highly doubt it too. A lot of you guys are having to leave and it's literally almost time, so we will wrap up this chat. Thank you so much for being here. Garfield and Janice and Alex and Caitlin and Megan and Sheena and Poland and all of the other people that I have missed, and some of you have already had to leave. Zoe, Maria, thank you guys so much. I love you guys. And if you just caught this broadcast, then this will show up on my YouTube channel in like 10 minutes. So you can make any comments there. I will go back and reply to your comments throughout the week. So please, if you think of something, leave a comment on the video so that I can reply. Or if I missed your comment, just leave it on the video. So I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for joining me once again. And I will see you next week. Bye, guys.